broadcasted live.
Hey! Who wants to have some fun?
There are balls coming from all over the place. Left field, center field, right field. See, this is the kind of thing, quite honestly, right now, that makes you want to see the Chicago Cubs team lose.
Now, are you just saying you want to have fun, or do you really want to have fun?
It'll be fun.
Will the next person that sees anybody throw anything onto this field, point them out, and get them out of here? You don't live in Cleveland.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
That is the farthest thing in the universe from the truth.
Hello, everyone, live. It's the Dan Scott Show. And right there is your host, Dan Scott.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday edition of the show. I am your host, Dan Scott. I could not operate. I had to reach for my pen. I can't operate if I don't have the pen in my hand. How are you this morning? Hope that your day is going well. Hope you're off to a better start than we were. We got everything rolling here and got the stream going and had no sound. Somehow, mysteriously, one of the settings became disabled, but we're up and running and ready to go, and think we've got a pretty good show lined up for you today. Do you like the college football? I'm pretty certain in this area of the country we've got some fans who love college football. On the flip side of it, if you're a college football fan, I am assuming that you probably have, in many ways, many of you anyway, a disdain for college football officials. I'm going to ruin your day because you're going to meet this morning an ACC referee who is, in his day job, the events coordinator for the city of Seneca, South Carolina. And you're going to find out that, you know what, this guy's a pretty cool guy. And further, you're going to find out all of the training and the week-to-week, day-to-day stuff they do to prepare for every game on Saturday. And now I'll be the first to admit, after hearing all of this the other night, I laughed to myself and said, and it still doesn't explain some of the things we see on the field on a Saturday afternoon. But that's another story for another day, I guess. But Riley Johnson is going to be with us. Riley is a heck of a guy, and looking forward to spending some time with him. I mentioned yesterday that he was the guest speaker on Monday night at my church's men's cookout that we do once every few months. He was a guest speaker. We grilled out some burgers. About 60 of us there, had a nice night of fellowship. And Riley was the guest speaker, and he talked about his life as an official and the work and prep that they do. He took a lot of questions from the audience, which really gave some further insight. And he also brought us some plays to kind of highlight some of the instantaneous decisions officials have to make, and then gave us a chance to be replay officials. You know, how are you going to call this play? It was pretty interesting stuff, and we're going to get into some of that with Riley on the show coming up at 10:25. Also with him, one of the, matter of fact, the first part of his presentation was looking at rule changes for 2018, and there are some pretty significant ones that are coming up involving the replay rule, which, as I tried to explain yesterday and didn't do a really good job of it, could cause some big-time controversy at the end of a game. I'll let Riley do a better job of explaining that. The fair catch on a kickoff rule, that has been changed depending on where the ball is caught. There are some changes with the 40-second clock after touchdowns and kickoffs. Changes in penalties that are assessed on a field goal try that is successful. We'll talk about that a little bit. The in-game PAT, you ever wonder why the team scores at the end of a game as time runs out, why they have to kick a point after? Well, now in certain circumstances, they don't have to. Changes to the cut block rule including what a wide receiver can and cannot do downfield now, and no more naked knees. That is one we'll get into a little more when Riley is on with us. But those are some of the rule changes that are coming up in 2018, and I'm going to let him explain those one by one during his visit with us here in just a bit. So that's coming up at 10:25. He'll be joining us via phone here on the show today. By the way, you can see I'm at the home studio again, and we'll be back in the office studio tomorrow. But working out of the house today, Herb Tyler, I don't know if you're on or not, but see me repping my Chick-fil-A coffee mug here. Here's to you, my friend. Tomorrow, as I said, we'll be back over at Furman and hopefully getting ready for some baseball. Last night, the mutual decision was made by Furman coach Brett Harker and Gardner Webb coach Rusty Strapp not to have them drive from Boiling Springs, North Carolina, down to Furman on just an off chance they might have a small window to get all or part of a game in. So they canceled the game early yesterday, and now 3 games remaining in the regular season, and all 3 of those conference games against the number 1 seed in the Southern Conference, UNCG, and the Paladins are right now no worse than 7th. We're going to take a look at the Southern Conference standings and the first round of the tournament pairings as they are right now coming up in the next segment. But the big issue here, and this is going to be a bigger issue for Greensboro than it is for Furman, because Furman most likely is locked into the 7 spot. They could jump up to 6 or 5, but it would take obviously a sweep of the best team in the league and some other things happening if they were to make the biggest jump they could make. But Greensboro, sitting at 37-13, they lost a non-conference game last night, but with an RPI that is hanging right close to being a top 50 RPI in the country. You know, they're wanting to get to 40 wins and then get into the tournament and tack on a few beyond that and try to make a case to be an at-large bid should something go wrong in the tournament. Now, Mercer looked like they were going to be in that same position a year ago, but they went into the tank in the final 3 weeks of the regular season, and of course they were eliminated early in the Southern Conference tournament and did not make the tournament field after it looked like for the longest kind of time they might be a lock. The question is going to be, where Greensboro is concerned, if they get to 40, 41, 42 wins total and have an RPI that is at or maybe sneaks inside the top 50, say if they're somewhere in the 48 to 52, 53 range, and I think the last time I saw over the weekend they were 52nd in the RPI. Is that good enough to get a Southern Conference team an at-large bid if they don't win the conference championship or the conference tournament championship? They'd be the regular season champ and have a resume that would have 42, 43 wins on it and right around a top 50 RPI. Would that be good enough to get them in? My guess is no, it would not, because more and more of these tournament fields are being weighted heavily towards the Power 5 conferences. And you'll see a high number of ACC teams get in. You'll see a high number of Southeastern Conference teams get in, and it's becoming more and more weighted, whether they admit it or not, toward getting those teams into the tournament. I just look at the softball tournament that's getting ready to crank up this week, and all 13 of the Southeastern Conference teams that play softball made the 64-team softball field. And you can't tell me that somewhere around the country there weren't some lower conference level teams that had resumes that were good enough to bump number 12 or number 13, maybe even number 11 or number 10. But that's, again, where these things are trending right now. So my guess is that UNCG would still have to win the whole thing to get in, but they would at least be in the conversation if they got to that, like I say, 42-43 win mark and had an RPI that was hanging right around top 50. We'll find out. Quite honestly, it's going to be a chore. If the weather forecast holds true, it's going to be a chore to get even one game in this weekend, much less get three. The series is supposed to start tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, Friday night at 6, Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m. Saturday afternoon is senior day for the Paladins at Latham Stadium. Whether or not they can make it work, who knows? Because we are supposed to get a ton of rain over the course of the next 3 days, or 4 days if you count today. So you'll know what we know when we know it, and it's going to be, by and large, playing a waiting game all weekend. But I can promise you, Link Jarrett, the head coach of the Spartans, is going to be pushing as hard as he can push for these games to be played, because he thinks that if he wins them, it's going to improve his resume that much more and get him to that 40 win mark in the regular season were they to sweep. Paladins, on the other hand, have other ideas. We'll see how it all works out. Our show is brought to you each and every day by our friends at the Atlanta Bread Company, located in Cherrydale Point, right down the road from Furman's campus. Fantastic food, even better people. Highly suggest that you go check them out. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, doesn't matter. And this case full of baked goodies. They've got just a litany of drinks, both hot and cold, that you can enjoy. It's a wonderful place, and they've been so good to us. Again, I encourage you to visit them, tell them you heard about them here, and thank Jeff Massey for what they've done as far as their sponsorship of the program. You'll hear more about them in this commercial break, and when we come back, we'll take a look at where the teams are ranking in the Southern Conference baseball standings as of today, and what the first round of the tournament would look like if it began today. We'll do that and more after this on the Dan Scott Show. Don't go away.
Holding, number 79, defense, first down. I'm also holding a party tonight.
Great call by the official. Looks like we've got another flag on the field.
Holding, a Pepsi. Necessary refreshment.
Hey, Ted, bring some of that Pepsi to my party.
Pepsi and the NFL. Welcome to the Fun Doesn't End Zone.
The Atlanta Bread Company wants to make your dining experience as convenient as possible, especially if you're ordering takeout. Go online to atlantabreadcompany.com, place your order there, and pay for it too. Then, when you get to the restaurant at Cherrydale Point, you breeze right by the cash registers and go straight to the pickup counter where your food will be waiting. And speaking of food, try the new Shrimp Po' Boy, a delicious and surprisingly healthy addition to the already great menu. That's the Atlanta Bread Company, Cherrydale Point in Greenville. When the Furman baseball team goes on the road, it travels safely, comfortably, and with the latest technology with Jeans Tours and Charters. Jeans has been a Furman favorite for decades and has serviced Furman baseball for over 20 years. Take it from head coach Brett Harker. Book your next road trip with Jeans. Jeans Tours and Charters, online at jeansbussvc.com or call 864-242-1673. Jeans Tours and Charters, servicing the upstate since 1980.
If you've been sidelined by an injury, the St. Francis Sports Medicine team is here 24/7 to get you back on the field. Our highly trained network of physicians, athletic trainers, and physical therapists treat all types of sports-related injuries, even those that don't occur from playing a sport. Call the St. Francis Hurt Line at 675-HURT for priority appointments or at-home advice. Again, that's 675-HURT.
Welcome back to the program. I am Dan Scott. Good to have you with us on this Wednesday edition of the show. Folks, the Dan Scott Show website is in production. It will be out soon, and the folks at Ridge Media LLC, based in Greenville, are doing that website for me. The process is is very comprehensive. Let's say that. And one thing that they are very, very good at doing is pulling out of you things that are going to make the website successful, what you're trying to get across, what you're trying to accomplish, who are you trying to reach, and then more importantly, the key words that are going to give you the search engine optimization that's going to drive traffic to your website. So we're going through that process now. I've been very pleased with it. They can do for you what they're doing for me. They serve small companies like mine, startups, and they serve Fortune 500 companies. They have them as clients. Based in Greenville, they also have a location down in Charleston. No charge for the initial consultation. You can find out what they can do for you. So talk to Kenny and the folks at Ridge Media LLC and tell them you heard about them here on the Dan Scott Show. All right, so the final weekend of the Southern Conference baseball season is upon us, and as mentioned, Furman and UNCG are going to be dodging rain all weekend here to try to get those final 3 games in. But here's what the current standings look like as we head into play this weekend. UNCG has already locked up the number 1 spot. They are 18-3 in the conference, and you see 37-13 overall. Samford at 14-7, trying to hold off Wofford, a game ahead of the Terriers for second place. And Wofford just took 2 out of 3 from VMI, so they've got a 2-game lead over the Keydets for third in the conference standings. VMI is fourth. Then Mercer and ETSU are tied at the number 5 spot. Furman comes in at 7th, and the Citadel and Western Carolina are locked into the play-in game on Tuesday. And you can see the overall records there. We have 4 teams with 30 or more wins so far on this season, and a couple more hoping to get to that 30-win mark. And, of course, Furman trying for what would be just its 3rd winning season in my 7 years here. This is my 7th season. Is that right? Yeah, 7th season here. And the first time they've had back-to-back winning seasons in goodness knows how long. So those are the standings. Here is what the first round of the tournament would look like, or looks like, if the season ended today. You see the play-in game at 10 o'clock on Tuesday of next week. Citadel as the 8 seed, Western Carolina as the 9 seed at 10 o'clock in the morning. The winner of that game moves into the double elimination portion of the tournament. The loser is done and begins work on 2019. So that's the only game played on Tuesday. Everything else on Tuesday is batting practice sessions for the remaining teams in the league. Then we get to Wednesday, the day that we'll have the first 4-game session of the SoCon tournament, starting at 9 o'clock in the morning. And remember, that's where Furman opened last season against Wofford. They will not be in that 9 o'clock in the morning game this time around. The number 4 and 5 seeds will take that spot, and as of right now, that would be VMI and Mercer getting together in that 4-5 game. The second game of the day, game 3 of the tournament, will be top-seeded UNCG against the winner of Citadel and Western Carolina. Then the 4 o'clock game, the first game of the evening session, the number 2 seed, which at the moment is Samford, would take on the number 7 seed, which at the moment is Furman. Samford swept the Paladins in a 3-game series at Latham Stadium earlier this year, but those games were all close. And then in the final game, it's the number 3 seed, which right now is Wofford, and the number 6 seed, which is East Tennessee State University. So from a strictly attendance standpoint for the folks in the Greenville Drive organization, running this tournament, wanting to sell as many tickets as possible, having Furman and Wofford in the afternoon and evening sessions would be a very, very good thing for them. That's when you're going to draw the most fans. Last year, having the Terriers and Paladins, because of where they ended up in the standings, play the 9 a.m. game on Wednesday, there was almost nobody at Fluor Field at the West End for that game. Had that been the 7:30 game, then you're talking about a big crowd that would have been on hand there. So having those two teams in the evening session, by luck of the draw, is going to be a financial boost for the Southern Conference tournament. And we'll see how it all plays out. Again, that's if the season was over as of today. There can be some moving and shaking this weekend depending on how many teams are actually able to play and how many games they get in. But there's room for movement really in one way or another between the 2 and 7 spots. 1 is locked in, 8 and 9 are locked in, and everything else there's at least some potential for movement should certain things happen. But if the season ended today, that is what the tournament bracket, the first round, would look like next Tuesday and Wednesday at Fluor Field at the West End. All right, we need to get to a break. We'll come back, and you're going to enjoy this. We're going to spend some time with Riley Johnson, the events coordinator at the City of Seneca, and, oh, by the way, an ACC referee. That's coming up next as the Dan Scott Show continues right after this.
When the Furman baseball team goes on the road, it travels safely, comfortably, and with the latest technology with Jeans Tours and Charters. Jeans has been a Furman favorite for decades and has serviced Furman baseball for over 20 years. Take it from head coach Brett Harker. Book your next road trip with Jeans. Jeans Tours and Charters online at jeansbussvc.com or call 864-242-1673. Jeans Tours and Charters, servicing the upstate since 1980.
If you've been sidelined by an injury, the St. Francis Sports Medicine team is here 24/7 to get you back on the field. Our highly trained network of physicians, athletic trainers, and physical therapists treat all types of sports-related injuries, even those that don't occur from playing a sport. Call the St. Francis Hurt Line at 675-HU-RT for priority appointments or at-home advice. Again, that's 675-HU-RT.
Hey Furman fans, it's baseball season. Here at Ingalls, we know that as you root for the home team, sometimes you want more than just peanuts and Cracker Jack. And while we do deliver on your favorite ballpark classics, we're proud to offer a packed lineup of everything you need to make your next meal a home run. Ingalls, a proud sponsor of Furman Baseball and the official grocery store of Furman Athletics. Go Dins!
Life's healthier when you're backed by a Greenville Health System primary care doctor. Because then, the doctor that has your back is backed by the more than 1,000 physicians and specialists at the region's leading health system, all working together to bring you the right care in the right place at the right time. Great health starts with a GHS primary care doctor, and there are more than 200 of them conveniently located throughout the upstate, ready to see you. Find yours today at ghs.org/mydoctor.
The Atlanta Bread Company wants to make your dining experience as convenient as possible, especially if you're ordering takeout. Go online to atlantabreadcompany.com, place your order there, and pay for it too. Then, when you get to the restaurant at Cherrydale Point, you breeze right by the cash registers and go straight to the pickup counter where your food will be waiting. And speaking of food, try the new Shrimp Po' Boy, a delicious and surprisingly healthy addition to the already great menu. That's the Atlanta Bread Company, Cherrydale Point in Greenville.
Let me tell you something, Cowboy. This rookie can really bring the heat.
He's smoky and spicy with a Chipotle style all his own.
It's a new Montgomery Inn Chipotle barbecue sauce. Make it a part of your home team.
Available now at your neighborhood grocer or online at CincyFavorites.com.
Show as we continue here on this Wednesday edition. Dan Scott hanging out with you until we get to the 11 o'clock hour. Quick word about my friends at Security Complete. See the graphic there on the screen. few months ago, about 2, maybe 3 months ago now, I made the decision to switch my security for my home, what protects me and my home and my family, from the company I was with to Security Complete. Why? Well, again, here's the story very quickly. The company that I was with bought out the small company that I had that was doing a dynamite job, and when they got into the larger conglomerate, the service was not nearly as good and just had a lot of issues. So I went with Security Complete. The two guys who run the company have over 40 years experience in the industry. They have the top-of-the-line technology. They don't lock you into contracts, and that is going to save you a ton of money over the life of your security deal. They know what they're doing. They're based in Liberty, but they service the entire upstate. Security Complete, you see the number, 864-546-0360. They're on Facebook. They're on Twitter as well at Security Complete. Protect your family, your home, your business, whatever. Do what I did. Make the switch. You will not be disappointed. All right, we are going to the celebrity guest line now, and bringing in a guy who, as I mentioned, was our guest speaker at our Seneca, or our Utica Baptist Church men's cookout back on Monday night. And I joked with him when I saw him walk in the door that I said, I saw your name, ACC official, on the marquee, and I decided to stay anyway to see what he had to say. Riley Johnson, who, by the way, also in his day job, is the events coordinator for the city of Seneca. Riley, how you doing, man?
Dan, just doing outstanding, man. What a great pleasure it is to be a part of your show, and thank you for that nice intro. And I appreciate you sticking around the other night. You brought up some great questions.
Yeah, we had fun. I think that the 60 or so men who were gathered there really enjoyed the presentation. Got a look inside the world of an official that probably opened their eyes a little bit as well as to the actual training that you guys go through and preparation that you go through on a day-to-day and week-to-week basis to get ready for a Saturday afternoon. And some of them probably are wondering, well, how does that still explain what I see on the field on Saturday afternoons? But that's the life of someone who chooses to be an official, right?
Oh, yeah, it does. And you know, no matter what people may think, yeah, we don't play golf all week. And, maybe a couple hours before the game, say, hey, guys, you want to go work on this game? Here, I got some uniforms in the back. Let's go show up. So, but, yeah, we do. We, we try to get it right. We try to, it's like taking a test. You try to make all the correct answers, and you always don't get 100. But, we work hard, and we know the line of work that we're in. We're going to get criticism, but we choose to do that. So, but at the end of the day, it's a lot of fun. And, I love the game. I love the college football game. It's just fun to be around, and it's really good stuff.
Yeah, I think one of the things that probably perked up the ears of most of the folks in attendance on Monday is when you said that with all of the study that you and your crew do in the week leading up to a Saturday afternoon, you know both of those teams that are going to be playing as well as they know each other. That's the depth to which your scouting goes each and every week.
Oh, it is. It is. One of the things we do each week, if we're working on a team, whoever the home team, the visiting team, I will assign a scouting report. And basically what that official, might be the line judge that scouts the visitors, and the head linesman, scouts the home team or the visiting team, whatever. But when we get to our pregame meeting on Friday night or Saturday morning, whichever it is, we allot them that time. So basically they break down the previous game, whoever they were playing, and whoever they were playing the week before, we can actually tell, hey, this team throws a lot, this team runs the ball inside the red zone, this team here is be on the lookout for, certain running plays. Be surprised on kickoffs. Don't be surprised they've done an onside kick. They've done trick plays on extra points. So we kind of be expecting it, kind of like the opposing team. So you're right. We do a tremendous amount of research on scouting each team. So, you know, then there's always that little element of surprise that, hey, they didn't plan to do this or things happen. But that's part of football, and, you know, all the plays don't work exactly the way they want them to work. But we try to get ready each and every week.
I think the other thing that probably surprised the guys who were there and will surprise our listeners is the amount of video work that you guys do each and every week, and inside of that comes plays that are sent to you that are, hey, you know, you guys, you might want to watch this, or you may want to watch that. I think it's a Mike Ferreira who does something on a weekly basis for officials, the guy that most people are familiar with his work for the NFL on Fox, I believe, but he also does some hey, watch for this kind of stuff, video for you guys every week.
Yeah, it's just all about pre-gaming and some of the great things that we have access to, but, you know, each team tries to give a heads up to certain officials, and, you know, that's something that I don't think that, you know, everybody knows that we get that each week. But we do. We get training. We do video. We break down our own film. One of the things that we'll do is sometimes I'll ask each official, bring a video clip that happened in our previous game, and let's look at it on tape as a group and see how we can improve if this happens again. And that's something that we spend a lot of time on. We don't dwell on it, and we just move on and get better. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was one of the things. It usually does open up a lot of eyes when I do some of these speeches, and I enjoy doing them because a lot of people don't know exactly what all we do during the week. They think we just show up before the game and work the game, but we try to come prepared. But, you know, with the Utica folks, I allowed you guys to be replay officials.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was funny. So I didn't well, a lot of times when I do that, I'll ask people to raise their hand. Like if I show a targeting call, I'll say, how many in here is targeting? And usually it's about 50-50. And, of course, that works that way in different places I go to hold it up. You know, it's kind of fun to be that replay official and to look at what they're looking at, because the first play I think we looked at, it was just a simple play. Guy gets hit out of bounds and didn't think anything about it. You tack on 15 and go. And then when we slow it down and run it backwards, it's like, well, wait a minute now. That ball was loose. Mm-hmm. You know, what happened here? Let's run it out and see what happens. So, you know, it kind of gives them an insight on being a replay official. It gives them an inside look behind the scenes.
As a matter of fact, correct me if I'm wrong, but the first time that you and I did an interview together like this on the old radio show back at Clemson, hadn't you just come off of being the replay official at either a national championship game or one of the major bowls?
It was one of the top 6, and I was the replay. I was in the booth with the replay officials in there, and then that was so early before they assigned replay officials. Mm-hmm. You know, you were graded out. You could be a communicator or a liaison or whatever it is, the TV there. But I was very fortunate to be able to be in the booth with the guys, and you know, it was a big game, and it was fun to be a part of that. It's kind of different to be on that end of it. And now replay is so involved, like I was talking about earlier, back, gosh, 8-9 years ago, whatever, however long it's been, you know, we had 5 to 6 cameras. Now we can have as many as 23 cameras. So we get a whole lot more looks than we did back then. And, you know, it's kind of nice to have those looks if you're trying to overturn something.
Yeah, we're visiting with Riley Johnson, who's the events coordinator at the city of Seneca by day and is an ACC football referee as well. Speaking of replay, Riley, one of the things that I hear from college football fans all the time is, and I'm sure you've heard this, so I'm going to give you a chance to kind of address it. Well, replay has made officials lazy. They just would rather let the replay happen, and they're not working as hard to get the call right. I'm sure you've heard that. What's your response to that?
Oh, come on. You know, we always want to get them right, but, you know, there are philosophies we do use. And at the end of the day, it's just like, I think I had that question from one of the members of the audience at Utica the other night. They asked me my feelings of replay, and I turned the question around to them and says, well, at the end of the day, when you leave there, don't you want us to be right? And they're like, no, yeah, we do. Okay, so, but there's different philosophies and ways that replay can correct things on the field. If it's borderline, whether he's out of bounds or in bounds, and, let it go. Let it go, because if you're splitting hairs and he's not, you see a little green in there, that means he scored a touchdown. Let it go, because if you put him out of bounds, you can't correct that. You can't give him a touchdown. So this way, you can verify it was a touchdown, and if he did step out of bounds, you can put him back where he went out of bounds. So that's where replay helps. Catch, no catch, some of the angles they can see that a little better, but there's still judgment. We still have to rule holding. We still have to rule DPI, defensive pass interference, offensive pass interference. We still have to rule that with no replay help. Roughing the passer. We still have to do that. It's still judgment. So there's a lot of judgment still out there. Replays just kind of fine tunes it a little bit, and if we can let it help us in certain situations, we allow it to do it. But we still have to have that focus and that judgment.
Right.
In each play.
Yeah, the trend of the game offensively now is teams want to get the ball, and they want to go, and they want to go, and they want to go. They want to move at an incredibly fast tempo. We see it at the level you officiate on. We see it in the FCS level where I broadcast. That's the trend for college football. Is the game getting so fast that 8 officials can cover it the way it needs to be covered?
Oh, I think so. I think it's fine. The trend is right now to go fast. Some teams say, hey, if they can get 180 plays in a game, they usually win it. But then there's some that just strategically work the field and work the game. It's different teams, different, So, I think 8 officials is plenty. We're watching 2-3 guys apiece. If you think about one guy watching 2 guys or 3 guys, well, there's 24. That's, if we do it by numbers, that's 24, and there's only 22 out there. So, at one time. So, I think the 8 officials, I think it's, we can always work to get better. Mechanics, we can improve by if we decide to move the center judge, move the umpire. You can always experiment with that, but I think 8 officials is plenty, and I think the game is, it's just like anything else. Once you work it enough, then it slows down. Mm-hmm. It really does. And that's what you want. You want the game to slow down. One of the things, the beginning of the year, that's why we work so many scrimmages in the fall. We try to work scrimmages. We push that because we want to be ready when game day comes. So if we see a lot of snaps during August, then when in September, it's not as fast as it was in August 1st. So we want the game, when it slows down, it's just like some of these great athletes. When the games get slow to them, that's when they excel. So, so as far as 8 officials, I think that's plenty.
Well, and something else that helps speed of the game, and I know that you can attest to this because you did it, if you want to get good at judging something that's moving very, very fast, go spend some time reffing an Arena Football League game or Arena Football League season.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I do it. I've been doing that league for a while now, since '98. But when you go from 100 miles an hour inside, because it's indoor football, on a 50-yard field, to outside going down to 50, that helps me. And that's one of the reasons I do it, is because of my position as referee. When I'm, I have to rule an arena on roughing the passer, holding every play. Then when you get outside, it's really slow, and that makes it a whole lot easier to officiate when it slows down. But yeah, the Arena Indoor League does help a tremendous amount. That's why a lot of officials do it. Now, years ago, before the leagues separated and went different ways, we had a lot of NFL guys that would come work the Arena League. It helped them. And, the NFL kind of took over and trained the officials in the Arena Football League so they could work during the off season and come back and work in the fall in the NFL. So it helps if you can get some, live action inside. When you get outside, it slows it down a lot.
All right, continuing our visit with Riley Johnson, ACC official, and as I've mentioned, also events coordinator at the city of Seneca. Riley, what I want to do now is spend some time on those rule changes. You went over them. I've got a little graphic I'm going to pop up on the screen that just kind of sets them up. It doesn't go in detail, so I'm just going to start ticking these off one by one, and you give us a quick synopsis of each one of these. And I think the one that drew the most audible response is the example you gave of the new rule concerning replay going from stop clock to running clock and what that could mean at the end of a game. I mean, there was an audible groan from the audience on Monday night when you used the example that you used. Explain that rule.
Well, it's a rule that the NFL has. The NFL has this rule, and if they're familiar with, it might have been the New Orleans Saints, Atlanta Falcons, or one of those games last year in the playoffs where what happened, the receiver scored, or the running back scored on a touchdown play, and there was like 9 seconds to go on the clock. Well, after replay looked at it and says, no, we got him down at the 1. Well, by rule now, one of the new rules, if you go from a stop clock to a running clock, and the only reason you stopped the clock to award was to award a touchdown, then you zap 10 seconds off the clock. So basically, in an easy way to understand, if it's inside of a minute, if it's 50 seconds, it's not going to mean a big deal to you. But if it's 10 seconds or under, and you're 15 seconds, clock's running 15 seconds, you score a touchdown, 3rd and goal, there's 9 seconds left to go up on the game clock. Replay looks at it, replay says, no, that's not a touchdown, we're going to put the ball back on the 1. So Riley, have your guys put the back on the 1. Now the rule, in the old days, before this year, you would put the ball back down on the 1. I'd say after further review, the runner was short of the goal line. The ball will be brought back to the 1-yard line, and the game clock will start on my signal. I would blow the whistle, wind the clock. You'd have 9 seconds. No harm, no foul. The new rule, if that same thing happens again, if we score a touchdown and replay says, hey, Riley, put it back on the 1, and the only reason you stopped the clock was to award the touchdown, then I announce on the mic after review, the runner was short of the goal line. The ball was down at the 1-yard line. And by rule, 10 seconds will be removed from the game clock. Therefore, the game is over. So you go, you take 9 seconds off the clock and you walk out.
And people start pelting stuff at you like they did at North Carolina State last year, right?
And I'll be near the tunnel when all that happens. But now, one of the great things is they do have the little. We went to a seminar in Dallas, and we were all just kind of saying, "Hey, but what about if it's 3rd and 5 at the 10, and you have the same scenario?" Well, now you got something totally different. If you've got 9 seconds on the clock, then you have a score. You, after review, Riley, look, you're short. We're going to put you on the 1. Put 9 seconds up on the clock. However, since there was a first down, it will be 1st and goal with 9 seconds, and you do not remove 9 seconds from the clock. You start it back. It's just a normal thing. You wind it on my ready. So it's some things. It's some of the stuff we'll study at our ACC clinic in Charlotte that comes up in July. It's going to be a good rule. And, to dive more into, it's just got to be on your toes. You've got to know what stopped the clock. Was it a touchdown? Was it a first down? If you got both involved, you don't have a runoff. If you only have one, which is a touchdown, you do have the runoff. So that's just a little stuff we have to go over and get to know really well, because that could come up.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. It's easy to explain.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's very easy to explain. That's
why coaches just look at you like, okay, good enough.
Yeah. Fair catch on a kickoff inside the 25-yard line. That's another change.
It is. One of the rules this year, if I, as a receiver, wave for a fair catch at the 5-yard line on a free kick, not a punt, has to be a free kick. That means kickoff. You're familiar with kickoff, free kick, a kick after a safety. That's a free kick. If it is a free kick and I fair catch at inside the 10-yard line, boom, I get to put the ball on the 25-yard line.
So it's treated like a touchback.
It really is. However, if my teammate signals for a fair catch and I catch it at the 3-yard line, the ball's dead at the 3. Any invalid or any fair catch like that, it has to be the guy making the fair catch signal, catching the ball. He gets awarded at the 25-yard line.
So that's another new rule change. Got 5 more we'll get through real quick here. The 40-second clock changes after touchdowns and after kickoffs is going to impact how quickly the game moves.
Well, that's the goal. My thing is, if you want to shorten the game, do something with the commercials. That's
that's logic.
Yeah, that's easy. But they're tweaking it here and there to see what happens. Basically, a touchdown, boom, the 40-second clock goes back up. Just like any other play, you got 40 seconds to come out and kick the extra point. Touchdown or free kick. After a free kick, once the runner's down, the receiving team is down, you got 40 seconds. They just run the play clock. 40 seconds, run it off. And hopefully that'll speed things up, and I think that's some goals for this year. I think one of the things that we talked about, and we hear this at the referees meeting because we're the crew chiefs. We're the ones that run the clock. We're the ones that manage the game. And there's a big emphasis on moving the game along. Some of the games are drawing out, 3.5, 4 hours. They want to get the game in a little bit shorter than that. So, I'll do what they say. We'll see what happens at the end of the season. See if it shortens them a little bit. Who knows? If it shaves off 5 minutes, so be it. We'll give it a shot.
ACC football official referee Riley Johnson with us talking about rule changes coming up for the 2018 college football season. New changes on what happens when a penalty is committed on a made field goal. Riley, talk about that one.
Previously, if you had a field goal, and you had roughing the kicker on a field goal attempt, in the past, the choices would be to the head coach. I'd go to the head coach and say, "Coach, you can do 15 yards. We're going to take the 3 points off the board. We'll go 15 yards. We'll give you an automatic first down." Well, now the new rule is, okay, Coach, now you can take the 3 points, and we'll carry that 15-yard penalty over to the kickoff. I think that's a very logical one. That was one I supported. I said, it's just like a scoring touchdown. You score, you can take it over to the free kick. So this is a way that, hey, you get your 3 points plus you can kick off 15 yards closer than you were. So I think that's a good rule.
Do they still have the option, though, of taking the 3 points off the board and getting the first down and continuing to drive if they want? Okay.
They do. That's one of their options. Last year they didn't have. They said, you had the 15-yard penalty or take the 3 points. Now you can have both. I mean, you can take the 3 points carried over, or you can say, look, I don't want the 3 points. I want the 15-yard penalty and the automatic first down. So you can continue that drive.
All right, next one. We got 3 left. The question always comes up. A team scores as time runs out. Celebration is going on, and here come the officials up. We got to kick the extra point, even though it has no bearing on the game sometimes. Well, now there are certain scenarios where you don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, that was one of the things in the past. If you had a score, the team that scores as the time expires wins the game, or is ahead 28-27. Well, and previously you were required to make a snap. You didn't have to kick it. You didn't have to do anything with it, but you did have to snap it. So, as an official, when you have the winning score like that, the bench is clear. I mean, you got to get everybody back on the sidelines. You got to get everything around, get your officials out there, and that takes time. It takes a lot of time. So basically now, you don't even have to attempt it. Storm the field, have a good time. You've won the game. The logic was previously, okay, if we make them snap it, they could actually muff the snap. And I think years and years ago, we had this game, or I was affiliated somehow. Maybe it was when I was in the Southern Conference. But Furman went for two, and Appalachian State may have kicked it off and run it back and beat them by 1 point.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up, by the way.
And that was one of the reasons I always use that play in my demonstrations. Like, this is why we kick the extra point. This is why we go for two or whatever they want to do, because it could happen. And case in point, this happens. And I remember that well. And it was just a learning point. You never want to be on the training tape, but if you are, it's a learning point. So now you can win the game with 28-27. Time expires. Still on the field. You don't have to kick anything. Officials are out there.
Changes to the cut block rule, when you can do it, and now what a wide receiver cannot do that they used to be able to do.
In the past, receivers could go downfield beyond 5 yards, as long as the block was, we call it from 10 to 2. You take a clock and you look at the 10 to 2, as long as you cut him in front, and what I mean by that is block below the waist. Anytime the receiver goes downfield and blocks below the waist, it had to be in front, 10 to 2 in that area. Basically, our philosophy I always use with my crew, if the guy can see him coming, it's not a foul. It's the foul that the guys can't see, that when he cuts him at the knees, he hurts him, takes him out of the ball game. That's the foul we need to get out of the ball game.
Mm-hmm.
So now the rule is once the receivers are beyond 5 yards downfield, receivers, linemen, any team on offense, once they advance 5 yards, no low blocks at all. None 10 to 2 wherever. You can't low block after 5 yards. The only people that are allowed to low block are the linemen that's in the zone at the snap. Once the ball leaves the zone, you can't block low either. And no lineman can block back toward their own original end zone low once the ball has left the zone. So the running backs used to be able to come in and cut those linebackers blitzing in. Can't do it anymore. Linemen, no backs, linemen. So if that blitzing linebacker comes in, 280 pound, you got a 185 pound running back, and he goes low and hits him at the knees, foul. No matter where it is, foul. Running backs cannot block low. Just the linemen. So they're trying to one day maybe get the low blocks other than the linemen out of the game. That's what hurts. That's what happens so many times. You see that guy that's not looking, and that running, or maybe the flanker or the wide receiver comes back in toward where the ball was snapped from. He never sees him coming, takes him low, blows the knee out. That's the foul we want to get out of the ball game.
Yeah, and should, quite honestly.
I agree.
Final one, no more naked knees.
Yeah, this is, we call it the uniform police, and it's kind of an inside joke. Unfortunately, I was the game that kind of brought attention to this. I was working a Virginia Tech-Pittsburgh game on a Thursday night, and one of their top linebackers from Virginia Tech, I think he was an All-American anyway, they put a lot of TV on guys that, are playing or planning to play at the next level. So this guy was wearing Bermuda shorts, and he took his knee pad and stuffed it under his thigh pad. Now, by rule, he had a knee pad in his uniform. We checked it. It didn't say back then you had to cover the knee with that. It just said was required a knee pad. Now, depends on how big. There was no diameters, and there's no measurements on how big the knee pad was. So what they would do is stuff it underneath the thigh pad. Well, anyway, TV picked up on it. Then Rogers Redding, our rules official, national rules coordinator. He got phone calls. He said, Riley, my phone was blowing up over that game. When you're on Thursday night, you got every supervisor that officiate in America judging your game. So
right.
You get a lot of people looking at you. So it lit him up. Hey, I can't believe they're letting him play. Well, we checked him before the game. He had a knee pad. Now the new rule is that when a player is standing in front of you, his knee pads must cover the knees. And if they don't cover the knees, if he's wearing the Bermuda shorts, we're going to send him out of the ball game. He'll have to go out and get it fixed. And he's not allowed to return until he gets it fixed. If they still keep trying to get him into the game, eventually we'll, hey, look, timeout, coach, timeout. You're either going to get a flag for improper equipment, or I'm going to charge you a timeout to get this guy corrected. We don't want to do that. We don't want to be the league that does that. Just we're gonna really during this off season, and I think some of the teams around the country too, they know this rule is in place. They've had 2 years of this rule coming, so they've had time to order the uniforms. So hopefully we won't have that much problem with it. I think once you said, hey, cover your knees, we won't have the problem of the guys wearing the Bermuda shorts.
Yeah, that was a funny alliteration, but it got the point across. It really did.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I don't know that you expected to be on this long, but I appreciate the time that you've given us because I think it's been educational for the fans, especially with these rule changes that are coming up for 2018. What is, as we let you go, what does your off-season look like between now and the start of college football season? What kind of prep work, rules, clinics, what else will be going on?
Well, basically between now, which is the middle of May, I have my normal job as the events coordinator for Seneca. We got a lot of festivals and events coming up here. Check our website. But as my football job, right now we have a rules study group that we meet once a week. We'll look at film. We'll look at some questions. They'll put us in situations, what would you do here, what would you do there, what's the penalty, where do you enforce it from? So kind of keeps you in the rule book. And I have a rule book on my phone. I have one on my iPad. I think I've got one in my briefcase wherever I go. So everybody's always talking about the great books that they read. I read the same book every year. They'll say, hey, I read a great book, the NCAA Rules and Regulations. So I continually read that rule book because it just keeps you on top of things, and it keeps you fresh in your mind. And then we have our rule studies. We've got our social. The ACC social is coming up this weekend. Unfortunately, I won't be able to attend that through the whole weekend, but we always have a social where we bring our wives and our families, and we all get together and hang out, and not just during a football weekend. So this is a school off time, and that's something we do every year. Been going on since I've been in the league. It's we get together in Myrtle Beach. So all the officials that can make it. I'll be in Washington, D.C. Saturday afternoon working an arena football game. So that'll be toning up my skills a little bit, helping me get ready for the fall. Then into June, we still study groups. July, we have our clinic in Charlotte. We go in on a Thursday. We stay there Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Video, film, testing. Each position is each position you're judged by your grades. You'll take a test. You'll have a written test, and then in August we start working scrimmages, just like the players do. We go through the same thing. We go through their. We don't do two-a-days unless they need us, and sometimes we may spend the whole day with a team. We'll go up. We'll go over new rules. So it's like a camp. So we'll get ready for that in August. And, of course, right around Labor Day is when we kick it. And, it gets here. You talk about it now, and it seems like it's so far away, but you blink, and here we are. We're ready to go. It's a week out. Your crew's ready. We're ready to travel. We're ready to get somewhere and work a ball game.
Well, as I said, Monday night I think was a fascinating eye-opener for a lot of the folks who were there. Wanted to give our viewers and listeners a little bit of a taste of it here today. I do appreciate the extended time that you gave us.
Absolutely,
and,
anytime.
It was good stuff. Maybe we'll catch up again as the season's going on.
Hey, you got my number. Call me anytime, Dan. Thanks for everything.
All right, Riley. Thank you, buddy.
Okay, bye-bye.
That is Riley Johnson. He is the events coordinator at the City of Seneca and an ACC football referee. And we are done. We have come to the end of the program. One thing I do want to tell you here very quickly as we get set to wrap things up. Coming up, well, that's not what I wanted to do. How that happened, I have no idea. But that is a heck of an offer from Security Complete. But what I did want to tell you about quickly was my friends at the Walk a Mile Project that we tell you about all the time, the 501c3 that trains churches, individuals on mission work, how to go, how to do, what to do when they get into the mission field. Heath Burdett and his dad, who started this thing, are going to be with us in the not-too-distant future to come on and talk specifically about what they do. It'll be less of a sports program, but it's something that I think is going to be very entertaining and informative for all of you out there, especially for those of you who have been on a mission trip or have ever thought about going on one. This is something you'll want to catch when they're on. They are looking at some dates right now, and we will have that ready for you coming up hopefully in the next couple of weeks. Having said that, that is going to wrap things up for us. We will see you tomorrow back in the studio over at Furman, and hopefully getting ready for some baseball tomorrow night between the Paladins and UNCG. We'll find out. Only Mother Nature can tell us whether we'll actually get to play that game or not. So you guys have a great rest of your Wednesday. We will see you later. God bless. So long, everybody.